Hi, everyone. Welcome to the PWR Network. I'm Amy. Today, we're cracking open the case of Donna Adelson, the OG hitman grandma herself. Jury selection starts August 19th, 2025, and she's accused of pulling strings in the 2014 unaliving of her former son-in-law, Dan Markle. Prosecutors say Donna, her son Charlie, and her daughter Wendy all played parts in this twisted family plot. I'm rolling credits while the rest of the PWR Crew wanders in. Happy Monday, my loves. Have you heard of this case? Shout out to the replay crew and our dragonflies. I love you.
Cavalier's drumming his old guitar again. Words rolling out into our fire. If heaven had wings, I would steal them and fly away with you for a while. Hearing the essence of gratitude, your dreamy little smile on my lips. I miss my cue, but baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day.
Here in the essence of gratitude, it's another Monday that I get to be with my PWR Crew, and I'm really happy to be here. We are covering actually a Florida Woman Friday case. Donna Adelson is going to Florida or to court in Florida this week, and so we are going to start covering that case. Donna's trial for the unaliving hire of her former son-in-law, Dan Markle. It's scheduled to begin with jury selections tomorrow. Adelson is accused of orchestrating the 2014 unaliving, which involved two hitmen from Miami. Her daughter, Wendy, is expected to testify. And also, people seem to think that after Donna's trial, then Wendy hasn't been charged yet, but everyone thinks that she will soon. But before we get started, if we could just start that algorithm dance party that I like to do and just start warming up your fingers and dancing them right up to the hearts and thumbs up button, helps us go out into the algorithm party out there. It's just a free way to help us out, and it's really, really appreciated. Also, today's sponsor is Wild Deodorant, and you know what? This case is completely nuts, but you know what's nuts? The world right now around us. Headlines are getting crazier by the hour. People are losing their minds, and honestly, I can't control any of it, nor should I try, I guess. But you know what I can control? What I put on my skin that seeps straight into my body. I can control that. And that's why I stick with today's sponsor, Wild Deodorant. Clean ingredients, scents that don't knock you over, or no scents at all. It's up to you. And none of that toxic junk. You can use my link, shopwildrefill.com/ParaWomen with code ParaWomen for 25, or not 25, I'm sorry, 20% off of your first order. I really enjoy this deodorant, and I think you will too. I am a big sweater, and so it's strong enough for men and women, and especially women who are heavy sweaters. So, okay, guys, let's get into this case. Have you heard of this Donna? And I also will pin the note in the comments, and I will put it over in the show notes. In fact, I put everything that we view during our lives in the YouTube show notes. I do that for our fair play use, as well as to cite our sources, and everything we talk about today is my research, my opinion. I urge you to go out there and do your own. We're all free thinkers here. But I am curious to see what you have to say about this case. I have been catching up on it. It was kind of new to me. I'd seen the son, Charlie. I saw bits and pieces of his case, and I thought he looked like a real piece of work. And now we get to see the mother. So let me get my screen together and we'll dive into it. Today, I just want to kind of go over the case and do an introduction. Tomorrow, they're doing the jury selection, and then we can go from there. And as I said, the key players in this case is Donna Adelson, her daughter Wendy, and her son Charlie. They are all implicated in this case. And the charges is Donna's charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation. The background is Dan Markle, a Florida State University law professor, was unalived in her driveway. The prosecution alleges that Adelson's family wanted him out of the way due to contentious divorce and custody battle with Wendy. Charlie Adelson has been convicted. Charlie was previously convicted in the same case and is currently serving a life sentence. That's the brother of Wendy. Potential witnesses besides Wendy, other potential witnesses include hitman Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera, and the go-between Catherine Magbanuna. Sorry, I'll get these names better as we go on. All of whom are also serving prison sentences for the role in the unalivings, according to court documents. Wendy's motion, Wendy is trying to avoid testifying by arguing that the defense subpoena gives her no immunity. I think she's doing that today. And the defense strategy, Donna Adelson's defense team is reportedly trying to suppress some evidence and downplay the state's case. Some people say that it's a slam dunk, and then I've seen other lawyers saying that, nah, not such a slam dunk. The jury selection is scheduled to begin tomorrow, and the state is expected to present its case on August 25th. So that's a quick rundown. We're going to start looking at some videos now. Okay. So this is she was transferred to Leon County Jail ahead of the trial next week. So this was when she was being transferred to where she's going to be housed for the trial.
New tonight, Donna Adelson is now back at the Leon County Jail ahead of her trial next week. She had previously been moved to Wakulla County. The jail records show she was booked into Leon County today. Adelson is charged in the 2014 murder for hire of her former son-in-law, FSU law professor Dan Markell. 4 others, including her son Charlie, have been convicted in connection to Markell's death and are serving prison sentences. Jury selection for her trial starts next week. Now, we've also learned tonight Wendy Adelson is asking a judge to quash the defense's plans for her to testify. Adelson was also subpoenaed by the state and is on their witness list. In the motion filed Wednesday, Wendy Adelson reasons that the defense cannot provide her immunity for her testimony, but the state can. It also says Wendy would like to provide a statement through her lawyer instead. The filing notes that a different judge granted a similar request back in 2022 for Catherine Magbanna's trial, but the defense was still able to cross-examine her that year. If forced to testify in Donna Adelson's trial, the filing says that she plans to invoke her Fifth Amendment right.
I feel like she's playing with fire because I'm shocked that she's not going to be charged. You know what I mean? I'm just really shocked. And I feel like she's really playing with fire. So we're gonna look at the case and start from the beginning and see why she's even being charged. So hold on, is this the one I want to look at? Yeah.
Dan Markell was a respected law professor at Florida State University. He was known for his legal brilliance, sharp mind, and dedication to justice. But in July 2014, that life was cut short. On the morning of July 18th, Markell was shot in the head while sitting in his car inside his garage in Tallahassee, Florida. He was rushed to the hospital and later pronounced dead. The attack shocked the legal community and left investigators with a chilling question. Who would want him dead? At the time, Markel was going through a bitter custody battle with his ex-wife, Wendy Adelson. The two had divorced in 2013, but tensions over custody and relocation were ongoing. Dan had been fighting to prevent Wendy from moving with their two young sons to South Florida, closer to her family, including her mother, Donna Adelson. Police quickly ruled out a robbery. Nothing was stolen, and the shooter had...
Isn't it amazing how quickly people age in prison? Donna looks like she aged like 50 years. But she's, well, when was she arrested? No, this happened in 2014. She wasn't arrested till after Charlie went to prison for life. So she's only been in there for like 4 years, I think.
Targeted Markel with precision. The crime scene pointed toward a planned hit, not a random act. For years, the case remained unsolved. But behind the scenes, investigators were quietly gathering evidence, tracing phone records, financial links, and suspicious behavior that would eventually lead to multiple arrests. It would take nearly 2 years before the first major break came. That break would expose not just one killer, but a conspiracy involving alleged hired hitmen, secret recordings, and connections that went straight to the heart of the Adelson family. What began as a custody dispute was now unraveling into something much darker, a murder plot rooted in control, desperation, and revenge. As investigators looked deeper into Dan Markel's life, one element stood out clearly: the bitter custody battle with his ex-wife, Wendy Adelson. And at the center of that battle was a single powerful motive: control over the children. After their divorce in 2013, Dan and Wendy shared custody of their two young sons. But Wendy wanted to relocate to South Florida, where her family, especially her mother, Donna Adelson, and brother Charlie Adelson, lived. Dan, however, legally opposed the move, and the court sided with him. Wendy wasn't allowed to leave Tallahassee with the children. By 2016, nearly 2 years after Dan Markel's murder, investigators had made a breakthrough. That breakthrough came from two unlikely sources: a gang member's confession and a set of wiretap conversations that would shake the Adelson family to its core. It began with Luis Rivera, a known member of the Latin Kings gang. He was serving time for unrelated crimes when investigators approached him about the Markel case. In exchange for a reduced sentence, Rivera gave them the story. He and Sigfredo Garcia had driven from South Florida to Tallahassee to kill Dan Markel, and they were paid to do it. But Rivera and Garcia weren't acting alone. Rivera pointed to a woman named Catherine Magbanua, who had recruited them. Catherine wasn't just a go-between. She was romantically linked to both Sigfredo Garcia and Charlie Adelson, and she was allegedly the one handling the money. Payments were traced. Calls were mapped. A clear pattern emerged. In April 2016, the FBI launched Operation Dulce Vita, a sting operation using undercover agents and hidden microphones. They set up a fake situation to make Charlie believe someone was blackmailing the family about the murder. His conversations, secretly recorded, showed growing paranoia and what prosecutors called consciousness of guilt. Then came the key recordings. In one of them, Charlie is heard discussing the situation with Catherine Magbanua in cryptic, nervous terms, referring to people getting caught and how to manage the fallout. In 2022, Charlie was finally arrested and charged with first-degree murder.
They were really sloppy about the way they did this, planned it. They used their phones quite a bit. They thought that they could use this code language, but I mean, the police have seen straight through this, so it's quite laughable.
Conspiracy to commit murder and solicitation of murder. At his 2023 trial, the prosecution laid out a detailed case: the custody motive, the financial trail, the coded conversations, and the link between the hitmen and the Adelson family. Charlie was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to life in prison without parole. But even after the conviction, one name kept coming up: Donna Adelson. She hadn't been charged yet, but recordings showed her discussing solutions with Charlie.
I dare say two names have been coming up: Donna and Wendy.
Including talks about fleeing the country and what might happen if the police started asking questions. She seemed worried. She seemed involved. And now the pressure was closing in. After Charlie Adelson's arrest and conviction, the focus shifted to someone who had long stayed behind the scenes: Donna Adelson. For years, she had appeared in the background of the investigation. A mother, a grandmother, a supporter of her children, but now her own words were coming back to haunt her. As Charlie sat in jail awaiting trial, law enforcement began recording his phone calls, including dozens of conversations with his mother, Donna. These calls were legal to monitor, and they soon became central to building the case against her. What emerged was a series of cryptic, emotionally charged conversations. Donna often sounded nervous, defensive, and increasingly desperate. In one of the most damning calls, she told Charlie, "I can't live like this. I can't live like this. I just can't." In another, she discussed plans for what sounded like leaving the country, referring to a potential trip that would make everything go away. These conversations raised red flags for investigators. Donna wasn't just a worried mother. She sounded like someone deeply involved and deeply afraid. Prosecutors also uncovered messages and transcripts where Donna talked about the problem, allegedly referring to Dan Markel. In hindsight, these weren't vague family frustrations. They were interpreted as indicators of a murder-for-hire mindset. Then in November 2023, things escalated quickly. Donna Adelson was arrested at Miami International Airport with a one-way ticket to Vietnam. She was traveling with her husband, and they had no plans to return. Investigators say Vietnam was a strategic choice. It has no extradition treaty with the U.S. That meant if Donna had reached the country, she could have potentially escaped prosecution forever. The arrest was swift and calculated. She was pulled from the boarding line and taken into custody. Inside her luggage, authorities reportedly found $10,000 in cash, medications, and personal documents, signs she was not planning to come back.
She was not planning to come back, and this family had money. They come from a line of dentists, so they had some money. Hi, Jessica. How are you doing? It's good to see you this Monday.
After her arrest, Donna was charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation to commit murder. Her request for bail was denied, with a judge citing her clear flight risk and the serious nature of the charges. The once respected matriarch of a prominent family was now facing the full weight of the justice system. And it was her own voice, her own choices, that may ultimately seal her fate. As of June 2025, Donna Adelson is set to stand trial for the murder of her former son-in-law, Dan Markel. After years of investigation, arrests, and mounting evidence, this trial promises to be one of the most high-profile cases in recent history. But what can we expect from the courtroom drama ahead? The prosecution is prepared to present a robust case built on years of wiretaps, jailhouse recordings, and financial evidence linking Donna Adelson to the crime. The core argument will be that Donna was not just a bystander, she was an active participant in the plot to have her son-in-law killed. Prosecution strategy. Motive. The prosecution will focus heavily on the custody battle between Dan Markel and his ex-wife, Wendy Adelson. Dan's refusal to allow Wendy to move to South Florida with their two young children put him directly at odds with the Adelson family. According to investigators, Donna, as a mother and grandmother, was desperate to have her family together in South Florida. This, they argue, gave her a clear motive for orchestrating Markel's murder. Jailhouse calls. The prosecution will play the damning jailhouse recordings between Donna and Charlie Adelson. These conversations, which were secretly recorded by authorities, reveal a mother who appeared to be heavily...
How are jailhouse conversations secretly recorded when everybody knows that jailhouse conversations are recorded? It's no secret.
...involved in the aftermath of the murder, discussing potential escape plans and how to handle the mounting legal pressures. These tapes will serve as key evidence in showing Donna's awareness and complicity in the murder. Financial evidence. The prosecution will also rely on financial transactions that link the Adelson family to the hitman who killed Dan Markel. Payments made to Catherine Magbanua, the woman who served as a middlewoman between Charlie Adelson and the hired killers, will be a focal point. This evidence suggests that Donna may have been involved in funding or facilitating the conspiracy. Defense's strategy. On the other side,
They've also said that with that woman that Donna was paying her monthly, and that this family, even though they had quite a bit of money, they were a family of cheapskates. And so they're going to show that they held on to their money tightly, yet they were paying this woman monthly.
Adelson's defense team will likely argue that there is no direct evidence linking her to the crime. They may attempt to discredit the wiretap evidence, suggesting that any conversations could have been misinterpreted or taken out of context. No direct evidence. The defense will likely argue that there's no direct proof that Donna ordered the murder and that the wiretaps are merely conversations between a concerned mother and her son. They may suggest that Donna was unaware of the full extent of Charlie's actions or the hitman's involvement. Victim of circumstance. Another potential defense angle is that Donna was caught up in a family tragedy that spiraled out of control. Her attorneys might try to paint her as a woman who was frustrated with the family's legal battles and tensions, but did not have any role in the murder itself. Blaming Charlie. The defense may attempt to place the blame entirely on Charlie Adelson. They may argue that if anyone should be held responsible, it is Charlie who had the most to gain from his brother-in-law's death. The defense may also point to his psychological state, suggesting that Charlie acted out of extreme stress or a breakdown in his relationship with his sister Wendy. What's at stake? The trial of Donna Adelson is set to be a battle of wills, a clash between a mother who has spent years denying any involvement and a prosecution team that believes they have the evidence to prove otherwise. If convicted, Donna could face life in prison and possibly even the death penalty, depending on how the jury views her role in the crime. A conviction would also bring justice for Dan Markel's 2 young children, who have been left without their father as a result of this tragic, calculated act. However, a not guilty verdict would be a crushing blow.
That's horrible. You know, they are saying that she might get off, that with all the evidence that they have, it's all circumstantial. Let's go over and look at Court TV and look at some of Vinny's stuff. I like Vinny Politan. And so let's look at this one first, and then we'll go look at her post-Schmurder behaviors. Also, you guys, I had the little bird all set up. He was taking a shower so that I could do this live. And for some reason, the water shut off. They are doing construction, and I hope that's what it is. But so I got a little bird on board with me now, and he's wanting kisses. That's what he's saying. Give me kisses. So I will try to mute it and unmute it, but then I forget that I muted and then I talk and then you can't hear me. So I probably will just let you hear him talk in the background, and I hope that's okay. This is just the intro. I try to keep them in other places when we go into court. You
kill Dan Markel.
Also, it's interesting that all the players except Donna and Wendy are in prison now. So the woman, the girlfriend woman, she's in prison. The 2 hitmen, they're in prison. Charlie's in prison. And yeah, so now they're going after Donna. And a lot of people say that after Donna, they're going to go after Wendy.
Investigators would come to find a connection. Sigfredo Garcia's longtime girlfriend, Catherine McBanawa, had once dated Wendy Adelson's brother, Charlie. And after the murders, Catherine was collecting cash, checks, and gifts from Charlie. Authorities determined this was a murder for hire orchestrated by Charlie Adelson. And after wiretaps, undercover operations, and a murder trial, Charlie Adelson has now joined Catherine McBanawa, Sigfredo Garcia, and Luis Rivera behind bars. And now, Charlie and Wendy's mother, Donna Adelson, has been arrested and charged with being a
Doesn't Charlie look like a real tool?
part of this plot. What is her role in all of this? And will she soon join her son, serving the rest of her life behind bars?
What a tragic story. What tragic allegations here. You're talking about a woman putting out a hit, according to prosecutors, on her grandchildren's father, to have those children grow up without a dad. So after her son, Charlie, is prosecuted and convicted, then all of a sudden, Donna and her husband, Harvey, the grandparents of the children, the mother and father of Wendy and Charlie, go to the airport on their way out of the country to Vietnam. Then this happens.
Hi, how are you? You have your ID?
I don't want to give it to you. Why do I have to give it to you? Why do I have to give it to you? I have to go with. I have to go. I can help you. I have to Okay.
My husband's almost 80 years old. He can't.
Yeah, I can. Please, can I go? No, I can't. Oh, don't do this, please.
Please.
Oh,
Someone's
God.
got to help him get home. It's terrible. You can't do this.
Okay, we do. Please, please put that again for some respect on the table. Do you have anything in your pocket?
No. No.
Do you have anything of value in you?
No,
Must you have a necklace on?
Yeah, take it off. The rings, take everything. You give it to your husband. Because once you arrive at County Yale, they're gonna make a room for that.
Can I call my attorney?
You can.
Where am I going?
Just for the company thing.
Where am I going?
You're going to the Dade County Jail.
Dade County Yale.
You're making a mistake. No mistake. It's two mistakes.
So the next place is what, the warrant? What did you say? What did you say the next place was?
What happened is,
Yeah, I need to research it too. That's why we're kind of doing this the day before jury selection so that we can get all caught up and, you know, get the names down pat and the whole situation.
but the warrant that they have from you is from out of Leon County.
When did they issue a warrant?
So what happened is we have to take you to our warrant school for that information to get entered. And then after that gets entered, before we can take you to the jail, to the local jail.
Okay, because I didn't know there was a warrant. How would I know that?
Well, we wouldn't have been able to take you if there wasn't something in place.
So aren't they supposed to inform? Aren't they supposed to inform me if there was a warrant?
She's pretty bad at feigning like doesn't know what's going on. I mean, she's kind of a bad liar.
Well, I don't know the details.
Yeah, I don't either.
They had a warrant. The gentleman that you met earlier in the playground.
Yes.
Right. They were supposed to inform you of whatever, and then because it's a county warrant, that's how we became involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it is clear she didn't know about the warrant. She knew about Charlie's conviction. I think she knew the heat was on. But that brings us to our first question as she's arrested at the airport on her way to Vietnam via Dubai, I believe. Was Donna Adelson trying to flee the country? And when I say flee the country, I mean flee the country to get away from law enforcement, to never come back. Joining me tonight to help.
I 100% think that she was fleeing the country. What do you guys think? Like, even if you don't know anything about this case, just what you've heard, do you think Donna was fleeing the country to a country that doesn't do any extradition? Because I think I heard her say, like, when I was doing the pre-stuff before today, I think there was somewhere where she was researching what countries didn't have extradition.
Answer this question and more. Palm Beach County State Attorney and Dan Markel's friend Dave Arenberg is with us, and attorney and YouTube creator Carl Steinbeck also with us. Great to have you both here. Dave, is it that obvious, or is there a little more nuance here to whether or not she's trying to flee the country?
Really, she bought a one-way ticket. And we know from the jail calls with her son that she was either going to find a country that was a non-extraditable country, someone who doesn't have an extradition treaty with the United States, and neither United Arab Emirates or Vietnam have those treaties, or she was going to kill herself. And so in the context of that conversation, plus the fact that she bought one-way tickets, yeah, you could say she was trying to flee the country.
All right, Carl, Dave mentioned this phone call, and I want to play this. This is Donna Adelson making a jailhouse call. I think everyone knows the jailhouse calls are recorded, but apparently during the course of this call, Charlie, who's incarcerated, his call sort of drops off, and apparently Donna is still being recorded, but speaking to other people who are in the room with her. Let's take a close listen to that.
The other thing I don't understand, that my daughter could help me with it, we've been looking it up over and over, because things change if there is extradition from Vietnam. Because we've looked at all the places. I mean, I could go to Korea and China, but there's no extradition. But we're looking for places where there's no extradition. Maybe she.
Okay, my bad. It was a phone call. And yay, the water's turned back on, so he's back in the shower.
knows about. Maybe she can look up the extradition issue before we waste our time.
She's going to tell on you that my parents are in the country. My lawyer told us to do that. Okay, but if you mention it to Wendy, is Wendy going to tell?
Yourself, but beforehand, I need to tell you something as an attorney who doesn't talk and has nothing to do with the case. It just has to do with Mom and I and some decisions that we have to make. Yeah, I know you want to bring her up and show her where everything is. If it's a plane crash, no one's going to know where anything is or who belongs to what. So I would like her to come upstairs so she could see it. I don't think that's asking too much.
Carl, this is pretty
Oh, she sounds like a real joy, doesn't she? She's just like went to Karen school 101. Like she probably has a BA in Karenism.
unbelievable. This is, she's not having the conversation with Charlie. She's speaking with people in person, but it's all being picked up on this call. Seems clear that she wants to be out of the country in a place where she could never be brought back.
Right. There's no doubt, Vinny, that she is actively looking to flee the country. Keep in mind, this is only a few days after her son, Charlie Adelson, was convicted of the murder of Professor Dan Markell. So she's in a panic mode and she needs to get out of there because her days are numbered, she fears, and talks with her lawyer. He also apparently indicated that her arrest could be imminent. So she's in a desperate effort to get out of the country. She's going to leave those grandkids behind. Keep in mind the one she was willing to kill for. So the murder plan has really been imploding fast these last couple years, and there's more.
It really has been imploding on the whole entire family. He doesn't really sling water in the shower, but when he takes a bath, when I put a bowl out, he really gets into that. It's so fun to watch birds bathe. Not when he's in the shower, he just likes to go up on the spout and it's kind of warm, and he just sits there, and then he gets drenched by the humidity of it all.
Since to arrest, no doubt.
Dave, as I listened to her and she's talking about Wendy, right? Wendy has never been charged. She's been basically a witness against everyone at every trial with her limited immunity. But here it seemed like Donna didn't even trust Wendy to ask her about which countries don't have extradition because she was afraid Wendy might tell investigators, might tell authorities.
Yes, and I think up until that point, she thought that her son Charlie would get away with it. And after he was convicted, it was all hands on deck. As Carl said, it was panic mode, and she is not trusting even Wendy. At least that's the theme of that conversation. So she's panicking, which goes to the point that she was trying to flee the country. This was not some preordained trip with round trip tickets to do a sightseeing venture. This was a way to get out of Dodge as soon as possible.
Carl, I look at all the steps that she has taken. And the evidence is going to be used against her. Like, not bright enough to purchase the round trip ticket and just not use the return. It's unreal.
Yeah, it's just one of many missteps that's going to help get her convicted. This was not well thought out. They don't have experience planning murders. They spent a lot of time doing this, many, many months, over a year planning this. But even that meticulous planning had many missteps, many botched efforts. And this is one of them, and it's definitely going to come back to bite her because there will be a jury instruction.
I think it would be hard for anybody to plan an unaliving, let alone having all these people involved in it. There's all these people that know about these things. Like, if you're just the only one, maybe you could get away with it. But now you've got what? The son, the daughter, the two hitmen, the girlfriend, Donna. They say that Donna's husband knew about it too. So that's potentially 7 people. How do you keep 7 people quiet? I don't think you can.
On flight to avoid prosecution, indicating consciousness of guilt. So that's another key takeaway that the jury will have to come back with a speedy conviction for murder.
All right, my guests are staying with us. Coming up next, where was Donna on the day of the shooting?
Let's move it forward. I will put the links for everything if you want to watch them in their entirety without me talking over it or anything like that, or stopping and starting. I'll put it over in the YouTube show notes for you guys.
And then went back home and was supposed to go to some party that night. But that brings me to my next question. It's all about Donna. Where was Donna on the day of the shooting? So while Dan Markell is being murdered by 2 hitmen.
Also, in doing the initial of this case, I keep thinking I'm muting myself, but I'm not going to mute myself. Also, in doing the initial of this case, if you guys see anything in this case that you want me to dive into and do deep research on, and bring it to you, because I like to dive into like certain aspects of the case and really get into it, let me know what you want us to look at first, and I'll go that route for you.
Where is the woman who, according to prosecutors, is part of the plot? Where was Donna that day? Still with me, Dave Arenberg and Carl Steinbeck. Carl, what do we know about the day of the shooting? As all this is happening, where is Donna? What is she doing?
Right, Vinny, She would have been down in South Florida at one of their residences. I think this was a key day. This is after all the day that the Geek Squad was showing up to Wendy's residence to check on this supposedly broken TV that the boys had thrown something at. So this was all the setup to create the alibi so she could have a justification because they had a several-hour window where the Geek Squad was supposed to show up. So this is something that Donna had set up with the original Geek Squad appointment. And so she was on the phone and also via texting to various people. So she was integrally involved in making sure things were going on, and the co-conspirators were actively engaged in communicating and knowing what's going on this particular day. Because after all, Dan was shot right after 11 o'clock that morning on the 18th of July.
Now, I want to take a listen to Charlie Adelson and Catherine McBanoa talking about the night of the shooting now. This is another important part related to Donna and what her involvement may or may not be. Let's take a listen.
Did your parents drop off money to you on the night of the murder?
I never saw my parents there. You could look at our cell phones and you'll find that out, that we never saw each other.
I did look at the cell phones, and what is on there is your mom texts you, quote, outside your house.
No, I mean, look at the tower information.
I think you testified that that meant she was just passing by on the roadway.
She was approaching the area, yeah, to see if I was home.
All right, and do you know what your response was to her text?
Yeah, like 20 or 30 minutes later, I said 10 minutes.
I'm 10 minutes out, is what you said.
I think I said 10 minutes, but yeah, I'm not home.
Doesn't that indicate you're going to meet them at your house in 10 minutes?
No, I told her to let me know when you're going to be in the area.
Was the money that Catherine McBanoa got damp?
I never gave her any money that was damp. The money I gave her came out of my safe.
Was it damp?
No, I took it out of my safe. I put it on the dresser. She put it in her purse.
Was the money...
We're definitely going to have to look into his trial and her trial.
Damp?
Yes, ma'am, it was. I believe his parents or his mom might have washed the money.
You mean like physically washed the money?
Yes, ma'am.
And why do you think his mom did it?
Because he was always adamant about telling me he didn't have any money in his house. And he told me that his parents had just stopped by right before I got there. So all of a sudden he had money to put in the trunk of my car.
All right, Dave Arenberg, trying to put together the pieces here, right? And Catherine McBanoa, she's the woman who puts together this whole hit. She's the go-between between the hitmen and Charlie Adelson. She's saying that Donna is stopping by Charlie's the night of the murder. What do you think, and what are your thoughts about where Donna was during the day and during the night of this murder for hire?
You know, I don't know exactly where she was during the day. I think it's unusual interesting that they all referred to the hit allegedly as the TV. Like the whole scheme was referred to as the TV, and that was the TV repairman who was coming over to Wendy. But what's really interesting is the fact that the money was...
Yeah, they called this whole hit thing, they concocted the breaking of the TV, and then the TV repairmen were the hitmen. And they concocted a story around the story. So every good lie is anchored in truth somewhat, but this wasn't a good lie.
Wet, because according to Catherine McBanoa, it looks like Donna took money laundering literally. And as Carl said, the prosecution's theory is that these are amateurs trying to do this intricate murder for hire scheme. And so you'd have someone like Donna who would have to pay the money because Charlie didn't have money in his house, and she would try to wash it all off, wash it to the extent where it grew mold on it. All this is really bad for Donna. This is part of the key evidence against her because we don't know where she was during the day, but
she tried to wash the money. She washed the money so it grew mold. That is so... That's so Keystone comical.
Those text messages, she was dropping by Charlie's house that night to pay off the money that was meant for the hitmen.
Okay, Carl, let's try to put the pieces together here.
This is a true Florida man case.
In connecting Donna Adelson to this murder for hire, whether it's the payment, the communications, what is going to be key here for prosecutors in tying Donna to the murder that day?
Well, the key components of the evidence against her, I'd say, Vinny, are the fact that she's so integrally involved in the communication, the hours before and after the murder, including the evening, including the money drop. And she also was very much involved in spurring up the hatred of Dan, getting her son Charlie fired up to go find the hitman to go actually do the job. So she was a very key player. She was a main verbal force behind this. Wendy was more behind the scenes, knowing how to push buttons on her mom to get her mom to go do the follow-on work with Charlie. So, and if you look at what she did in the email she sent talking about what hatred there was and how bad she wanted to win this custody fight against Dan Markel, it was almost like these kids were her kids and not Wendy's kids. And yet, they were losing badly in court, and Wendy was facing loss of job and problems with the state bar. So Wendy's life was about to come crashing down in very short order in the coming weeks. And so out of a move of desperation, they had to move up the execution plan. And so she was also involved in the communications with Charlie Adelson when the bump happened, the undercover law enforcement. And she actually admitted in there, this had to do with you and me when they're trying to talk in code. And nobody talks in code unless they think law enforcement is listening in. So that also is a great data point that the prosecution will use to show that she actually wasn't fearful. This is some kind of another extortion effort, as the defense claimed in the Charlie Adelson trial.
Dave, do you guys think that because this thing happened in 2014 and the kids were they like 6-ish, 7-ish? Do you think that the state of Florida is drawing this out so long that they're going after Wendy last so that the boys will be like adults and they won't need, because they won't have any, I guess they'll have Dan's family, but I get the kids are probably still with Wendy. Are they doing this so that Wendy's basically an adult and the kids are basically adults? And what do you guys think? Because I'm shocked that they haven't gone after Wendy first. Like, it's the wife. I don't know. What's your take on Wendy, you guys? Those that know about Wendy, what's your take on her?
Vandenberg, you are the prosecutor. How is there a problem here because Donna Adelson is older, because she's the grandmother, or does that play into the prosecution's case here?
Yeah, it's always a problem when you could get sympathy from a jury. And I think that video of her about to flee could gain some sympathy. She's talking about her 80-year-old husband. I didn't like the part where she's grabbing the phone. That doesn't make her look good. But yes, you have to worry about that as a prosecutor. But in the end, the theory of the case is that Donna wanted these kids in South Florida because she detested the son-in-law, Danny, and Tallahassee. Well, this is going to be a Tallahassee jury judging a woman from South Florida who hates their community.
All right, Dave Vandenberg.
I would like to know also, what are the odds that she's going to get off? I would like to know those odds too, just as much as the odds that she's going to be convicted. Jessica says it's going to be a challenge to verify her participation, although it's obvious she is involved. Yes, it's going to be very interesting to see what they have and how they do that. So let's go back and now look at what her post-unaliving behaviors were. This is ParaWomen Radio on the PWR Network. I'm Amy. We're doing a new trial, Donna Adelson, for those that are just joining us. We do this thing here called Florida Woman Friday. And I know it's Monday, but the trial doesn't wait for our Fridays. So we've got to do it when the trial's going. And this is the Donna Adelson trial for the unaliving for hire of her former son-in-law, Dan Markel. We're just cracking into this case ourselves. So they are going to pick a jury tomorrow, August 19th. And the killings happened in 2014. And the trial is set to start on the 25th. So hi to everyone just rolling in.
Tallahassee garage on July 18th, 2014, in the middle of a vicious custody battle with his ex-wife, Wendy Adelson, who was trying to move their children to South Florida. Prosecutors say the real motive lay not with Wendy herself, but within her family. Charlie Adelson, her brother, and a wealthy Miami area dentist orchestrated a murder-for-hire plot to end Markel's resistance to relocation and assure full custody and control for his sister.
Okay, let's move it forward and get it to the talking point.
What evidence allegedly ties Donna to the murder-for-hire plot? Because that's going to be the
I would like to know what evidence ties her.
Focus of this trial. That's what they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Here to help answer that question, Joel Waldman. He is the host of the Surviving the Survivor podcast, which has been on this story from the beginning. Joel, great to see you. I want to begin, before we start chatting away here, by taking a look at a little bit of testimony from Charlie Adelson's trial, because as I said, as we watch that, there seemed to be a lot of evidence that could be used against Donna. Here, let's listen to some testimony about the checks that were written, some of the payments in this case.
Were all of the checks deposited by Catherine McBanoa?
They were.
Who were all the checks signed by?
Donna Adelson.
When was the first check issued from Adelson Institute to Catherine McBanoa?
The date on the checks was September 17, 2014.
Okay, so that was just short of 1 day. I'm sorry, that was about 2 months from the murder of Dan Markell.
That's correct.
And how often did Catherine McBanoa receive checks from Adelson Institute after that?
She received 2 checks a month.
Oh.
Until May.
Damn, it wasn't even 1 check. It was 2 checks a month. Gosh.
Of 2016?
That's correct.
So, Joel, paying someone who doesn't work there, I saw it on a few episodes of The Sopranos, right? You have those no-show jobs that you get because you're connected. Catherine McBanoa, is there any connection? Did she have any background? Could it even be argued that she somehow, some way was working or doing work for the dental practice?
Short answer, absolutely not. And I got a really interesting photo sent to me just yesterday, and it is a free pack of dental floss from the Adelson Institute. You go to the dentist, they give you like a little care package with toothpaste and some mouthwash, whatever it is. Well, the Adelsons gave you literally a pack of dental floss and some paper wrapping. So not the most generous and giving people. And now you're talking about a woman that they don't know, apparently, at least not outwardly. And Donna Sue Adelson is cutting checks for $3,000 a month. It just doesn't add up at all. It's incriminating and damning evidence, not just against, in my opinion, but also against Harvey Adelson, her husband, who, my mother's my co-host, as you know, Vinny. She has said that Harvey Adelson is guilty from day one. But there is a mountain of evidence against Donna Sue Adelson, and I probably talked to...
It would be really hard to believe that the whole family was in on it, except the husband.
10 to 15 criminal defense attorneys, a lot of them from Tallahassee, just over the last week or so, across the board. They say a conviction in this case is coming. Now, there's no such thing as a slam dunk case. Something could go awry, you don't know, but the betting odds are definitely here, appearing to be a conviction.
Yeah, I heard yesterday, somebody say that it's going to be a hard one to prove. So I don't know. We'll see.
For Donna Adelson.
Yeah, I think it's also a good jurisdiction for prosecutors, generally speaking. I think the jurors there are very receptive to the arguments made by prosecutors. Okay, let's talk about paella. Why don't we do that? And we'll begin by listening to Charlie Adelson when he was cross-examined.
Was paella the big birthday gift?
Yeah, I paid for the catering for the whole party.
Then 3 months later, on June 8th, just after midnight, you text her, quote, still working on Dad's birthday present. Was that in reference to the paella guy?
Possibly what I was also getting was a present. I mean, it's been 10 years, so I don't know exactly what I got him 10 years ago on his birthday.
And then at
what
1 a.m., I'm sorry, you weren't done.
Or what I was thinking about getting him.
And then at 1 a.m., Mom texts you back, I know you'll, and I think she was in Israel, so that may account for the time, but she texts you, quote, I know you'll come through for me. Is that what she said?
That's what the text said, yeah.
Can we agree the timing of these texts is consistent with being sent the day after the killers got home from their failed June murder trip?
No, it's consistent with a few weeks before my dad's birthday, trying to figure out what we're going to get him.
All right, Joel, this is a big part, right? This is a big part of the prosecution's case in terms of trying to get the jury to understand that all this chatter about the birthday party for Harvey was really chatter about the murder for hire.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I just want to shout out to the Markell family. I've become very
Was it the birthday party or was it the TV or was it both?
close with them, and they're obviously the victims here as they're getting ready in 5 days to go back to trial. And it is just so incredibly difficult on them. And you contrast them with the Adelsons, who are just the most conniving bunch of people, and they're talking in code. You know, Vinny, you know about the TV repairman, which is basically an alibi. They had the Geek Squad come over to Wendy's house in the morning so they could, you know, basically rely on that to say, no, I wasn't, you know, involved in any way. There was a TV repairman. And then you just mentioned the paella. So they were using all these code words, and I think you're going to get to it, but there's a bump so-called bump where an FBI undercover confronts Donna, and she just falls for it, hook, line, and sinker, and goes back, calls Wendy. Wendy gets in touch with Charlie. Their guilt is almost so obvious that you question if you even need a trial. But this is America, Vinnie Politan, so you've got to have a trial. But again, the evidence is overwhelming, and we have not even gotten to Vietnam yet.
Yeah, well, she didn't get to Vietnam either. She tried to get to Vietnam with that one-way ticket. By the way, so much chatter about paella and hiring someone to make paella. It's not that difficult. It really is. I think it's easier than a root canal, I would think. Let's take a listen here to Charlie Adelson on cross-examination. Here we are talking about the money. You're going to hear from Charlie Adelson, then you're going to hear from the broker for this whole murder for hire deal, Catherine McBanawa, who's sleeping with Charlie, sleeping with one of the hitmen, and their whole take on where the money came from.
Did your parents drop off money to you on the night of the murder?
I never saw my parents there. You could look at our cell phones and you'll find that out, that we never saw each other.
I did look at the cell phones, and what is on there is your mom texts you, quote, outside your house.
No, I mean, look at the tower information.
I think you testified that meant she was just passing by on the roadway.
She was approaching the area, yeah, to see if I was home.
All right, and do you know what your response was to her text?
Yeah, like 20 or 30 minutes later, I said 10 minutes.
I'm 10 minutes out, is what you said.
I think I said 10 minutes, but yeah, I'm not home.
Doesn't that indicate you're going to meet them at your house in 10 minutes?
No, I told her to let me know when you're going to be in the area.
I think it's interesting that he can't remember. He can't remember the 10 minutes, or wait, what was it he said he couldn't remember? Let me think for 1 second.
Area.
Was the money that Catherine McBanawa got damp?
I never gave her any money that was damp. The money I gave her came out of my safe.
Was it damp?
No, I took it out of my safe. I put it on the dresser. She put it in her purse.
I believe his parents or his mom might have washed the money.
You mean like physically washed the money?
Yes, ma'am.
And why do you think his mom did it?
Because he was always adamant about telling me he didn't have any money in his house. And he told me that his parents had just stopped by right.
I think it's interesting that he can't remember what he was trying to purchase his dad for the birthday present, which that would be like burned in your memory if that was what you were working on when all of this went down. But he can remember that the 10-minute thing that he was talking about to a T. I think that's very interesting.
Before I got there. So all of a sudden he had money to put in the trunk of my car.
Also joining us right now, former homicide detective Chris McDonough, host of The Interview Room with Chris McDonough. Chris, great to see you. Glad we could connect. Do you think that prosecutors can connect the money, the cash, to Donna Adelson? Connecting to Charlie was easy. He admitted that he gave money. He said it was dry. She said it was wet. But how about getting Donna, connecting her to the cash?
Yeah, well, there was a couple of things that may do that, Vinny. Obviously, what you all just talked about a few minutes ago, one of them is the bump, right, the phone call. And what happens is, what the feds did is they put together a search warrant, number one, and then they tapped the line of the phone that they were going to be interested in. And typically, you could have a van or you could have somebody sitting in a room somewhere, and then you send your agent in, you're undercover, and you start talking about the phone call. And you can do it over the phone, which we did here. That's called a control call. And they got her copping out all kinds of conversations about the money, about $5,000 that the agent was pretending he was going to extort her out of. So, and then she started making all those phone calls. So it was a chain reaction. It was a good play.
Chris, why do you think the money was wet?
That's a great question. That could be, this concept of, this going back to this code talk of some sort, then that, look, it's not real, it's blah, blah, blah. And so I don't have the exact answer for that, to be honest with you, in totality, but it's more along the lines of that code language potentially.
Chris,
a lot of feedback in this video. Let's go on to the next one and look at the case against Donna.
18th, 2014, in the middle of a vicious custody battle with his ex-wife, Wendy Adelson, who was trying to move their children to South Florida. Prosecutors say the real motive lay not with Wendy herself, but within her family. Charlie Adelson, her brother, and a wealthy Miami area dentist orchestrated a murder for hire plot to end Markel's resistance to relocation and assure full custody and control. In November of 2023, just days after Charles was convicted of first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation, Donna Adelson, his mother, and Markel's former mother-in-law, was arrested at Miami Airport moments before boarding a flight to Vietnam. She now faces identical charges: first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation, accused of funding and coordinating the lethal plot rooted in vengeance and control of Dan's children. Held without bond, her trial is now set for August of 2025, while the once elite Adelson family crumbles under public shock and courtroom exposure.
You know, sometimes in the cases that we cover here on Court TV, you look at killers and why they do what they did, and sometimes they're in desperate situations, or they've had a rough life, or, you know, things like that are part of the story. That's not part of this story. This Adelson family had a great life. Harvey built this incredible business. Charlie, his son, was doing amazingly. The cash is rolling in. They're living down in South Florida, hobnobbing it up. Life was good. Life was good. But that might be one of the reasons.
Isn't that like how it goes when people have too much money? They tend to get bored, and then they think that they can bend everybody's will to fit their needs, and they think money can buy anything. And this family got to the point where they thought they could just off somebody to bend the will to their needs.
And all this happened because, you know, we need everything that we want. We will not be stopped. We will not be defeated. It took a while, though, for these arrests to take place. The case didn't necessarily go cold, but it was dormant. And investigators set up an undercover, and they call this the bump, right? Not the disco dance from back in the day, right? It was a bump where an undercover would bump into Donna Adelson, have a conversation, try to stir things up a little bit to try to get them talking again, because they were getting wiretaps and undercover recordings of the Adelson family, who they suspected all along in this case, but needed to gather and garner some evidence. So let's take another look at a really important part of this investigation, which was the bump, where an undercover officer air quotes, right, bumps into Donna Adelson.
I'm gonna be honest, the bump sounds to me like a little, like maybe some Coca-Cola action. But yeah, this is interesting, the way she reacts to this bump.
Hey, Dylan, just want to give you this. Listen, don't be scared. Listen, just want to let you know that we know that your family has been taking care of Katie and her friends moved on for quite some time after your problem up north has been solved. And I want to let you know that my brother, he's incarcerated. He helped your family with this problem you guys had up north. And we want to make sure that he's going through some rough times. We want to make sure that he's taking care of what he's going through, the way you're taking care of Katie and Tuco. Well, this will explain it. Thank you.
Amazing, right? Cool as a cucumber after being approached by someone saying they're connected to a murderer. Wow. Okay, this bump is huge, and it brings us to the first question in our investigation. What did the bump prove? What did it prove in this case? Here to help answer that question is Monica Jordan, mitigation specialist and defense investigator in Florida. She worked for the convicted hitman Luis Rivera, who I believe the undercover was pretending to be connected to in that. And joining us on the phone, Carl Steinbeck, former prosecutor, defense counsel, and host of the Carl Steinbeck channel on YouTube. He's on the phone. Thank you both for being here. Monica, what do you think of this bump? What does it prove to you?
To me, it proves that she knew something. I mean, she didn't immediately say, "What are you talking about?" She continues to listen to him talk about, and get his whole message out.
Kind of like when when the police bring people into interrogations and they don't ask why they're there. Like they don't say any, like, why am I here? So it's sus. It's very sus.
Before she even says, "I don't know what you're talking about." And I think it absolutely proved she knew what he was talking about. And that's why she was as cool as a cucumber.
Yes, so cool. Carl, I want to take a listen because Donna ends up calling that undercover agent. It takes a little bit of time, but calls the number that she's given in that paper by the agent during this bump. So let's listen to that call, and I want to get your reaction to that.
You approached me on Bolton Road. You handed me an article from the newspaper about my ex-son-in-law. You told me I need to call you and help your friend who was in prison. Now, at the time you did that, I didn't understand what you were talking about. I didn't call you back. Then you mailed me a threatening letter. Then you send me a text message to my phone that says I'm not taking you seriously. So I am taking you seriously. And I really want you to listen to me. I have to tell you, this is important. I've been so stressed out. I have spoken to 10 or 12 people who are close friends of mine, telling them about this and basically picking their brains and asking them what I should do because I don't know your friend. I don't know your friend who is in jail. You mentioned a name. I don't even know his name. I never spoke to him. I don't know what he looks like. I've never met him. I'm sorry your friend's in jail, but I don't know what that has to do with me.
You know exactly what it has to do with. You know exactly what. Listen to me carefully. Listen to me. You just got to listen to me.
You need to ask your friend who this person looks like, what their name is, something, because I know there's a big reward out there, and if you need money for your friends, that's the way to get it.
Okay, Carl, what are your thoughts about what the bump and this follow-up call proved to you?
Well, there's quite a number of things, Vinny. Number one, like Monica was saying, it shows that Donna was intimately involved in all the details of this murder. Another telling thing is it also shows that the extortion defense that Charlie used in his previous trial 20 months ago was completely fabricated because that's never discussed among these two. Keep in mind, this bump happened right before Sigfredo Garcia was arrested by a month or so. And so they thought
she's on the phone there saying she doesn't know who he is or what he's talking about. I'm sure she's going to use that to her benefit.
They were in the clear for almost 2 years. And then all of a sudden they get hit up with this guy talking about how they're tied into the murder of Dan Markel. So it's very telling the way their actions were. And it also shows that not only Charlie was involved in the murder, but also Donna as well as Katie, because this triggered also Charlie to subsequently call Katie and then have a meetup with her where they got more recordings of their conversation. And it also shows how poor planning this murder plot was. And this was a flawlessly executed bump. And this actual call that she gave back, it shows that this bump was really good in terms of getting more information out of them and showing they're not going to let up on this. We're dialing up the pressure against you, Donna. And so Donna's call, you could tell it was very scripted. She's very nervous. And she's even lying to this undercover agent where she says, I talked to 10 or 12 of my friends. Well, why don't you call a lawyer? Why don't you call a lawyer? You guys are intimately tied in with all these lawyers, high-powered lawyers down there in Miami. And you don't call a single lawyer. And oh, by the way, what about calling the cops? That's what a normal person would do, is call the police on this guy that's threatening you. But what do? They try to handle it internally, which again reveals this is a Southern Florida Adelson murder plot that took out Professor Dan Markel.
Yeah, Monica, that's such a big part of this, right? If your son-in-law is murdered and all of a sudden you're being approached by someone who is connected to the murder, would you not fear for your safety, the safety of the rest of your family, perhaps the safety of your daughter, perhaps the safety of your grandchildren? But none of that happens.
I'm sure they're going to say something like they don't trust the police after everything that's happened to their family or something like that. I'm just trying to play the devil's advocate and think of her defense.
Correct. And I agree with Carl. She should have gone to the police. But more importantly, she's still trying to control the conversation with the agent. Listen to me. I don't know who your friend is. Maybe you can describe him to me. I'm so confused. That's just all fodder. She is controlling the narrative, which is what she's done with her children and this marriage and her grandchildren and throughout this entire conspiracy to commit murder.
Carl, that's such a great point by Monica. Even in that moment.
Gosh, she has aged. She must have been doing some amazing skincare stuff because they said she went in 23. Oh my gosh.
Moment, she is attempting to control it. Do you think that part of Donna Adelson trickles into her upcoming murder trial, that she's going to attempt to somehow control this murder trial?
Absolutely. I think you can see it in the exhibit list that the defense attorneys have presented, as well as their witnesses. And I think all of it just shows that they have really nothing to show for in the defense. It's going to be sort of a repeat of Charlie's. They may try to claim she's really not aware of what everything Charlie was up to try to create some distance. But this call is what's going to seal her fate. All right. This bump and her manner then and the way she acted on all these wiretaps, it seals her fate. There's no question, but that a jury or any reasonable jury is going to find her guilty.
I don't know, you guys. Do you think that those things are sealing her fate? This is giving me pause. Like maybe her fate isn't sealed because, I mean, she's saying the right things. She's, saying to the guy, I don't know who you are. To me, it's going to Vietnam and to talking to Charlie on the phone and about Vietnam. To me, that's more damning than this, but I'm not a lawyer either, so.
Quickly.
All right.
I'm just
Carl
the
Steinbeck,
girl with
thanks so
a
much.
mic
Check
and an
out Carl
opinion.
Steinbeck on YouTube on his channel. Great insight into this case and other cases. Monica's going to stick around. Coming up next, would Donna have ever returned from Vietnam?
I do have a BA in psych and soc, so I am pretty good at reading people and figuring out their motives. I'm pretty good at that because I also had a borderline mother. Didn't want to give up the phone.
Matriarch of the Adelson family gets arrested.
Donna Adelson is facing charges of murder, the death of her former son-in-law, Dan Markell.
Okay, let's move it forward.
Happens to me. But the fact that she doesn't want to tell Wendy is probably more evidence that she's not coming back than anything else to me, even more so than not having a return flight.
Okay, they're talking about her going to Vietnam now and her not wanting to tell her daughter Wendy about it because Wendy was a witness in Charlie's trial for the prosecution. I don't think she was a willing witness, but she was one.
She was never coming back. She was leaving. She wanted Wendy to come to the house to see where everything was because her and Harvey were never coming back.
Monica, this is unreal, right? She's captured at the airport. This is like a scene from a movie on her way to Vietnam. Donna Adelson in Vietnam. Like she's trying to explain that this is some sort of a vacation that they were taking. Do you think she was ever coming back?
No, and I think there's something very telling in her statement to her friends and probably Harvey, who she was speaking to, and that is, I want to tell Wendy, but we can't because she'll tell somebody. Well, when I'm going on vacation, the whole world knows, and they know where I'm going, and they know how to get to my documents if something happens to me. But the fact that she doesn't want to tell Wendy is probably more evidence that she's not coming back than anything else to me, even more so than not having a return flight, because she's scared to death Wendy's going to tell somebody and it's going to ensnare them in this trap where they can't leave.
Let's take a listen because Donna Adelson had to explain all of this in a hearing, this open call. Let's see what she told the court.
So your testimony is that you weren't trying to go to Vietnam because you wouldn't be able to be extradited from there.
So my husband actually had said, we've been to Vietnam before with friends. We were on vacation, and it really was like a place of peace. And so he said, if we go to a non-extradition country, then if the law enforcement decided that they wanted to arrest you or me, whatever, both, He said, we won't be sitting in a foreign prison waiting months to go back. We could buy a ticket and we can go home. And my understanding was that I could go home and I could turn myself in if that's what they wanted.
Oh, funny thing, it was my husband who said all that. I just went along with it because, who wants to sit in a jail? No, I didn't want to do that. It sounded good and legal to me. Speaking of her daughter, Wendy, we're going to take a quick look at her fight to quash mom's subpoena for murder trial. She doesn't want to testify in her mom's trial.
Protective of you.
Yes.
All right. And is it fair to say she's, a little on the controlling side?
I don't think she's controlling, but she's definitely overprotective.
That was Wendy Adelson testifying at her brother Charlie's murder trial. Now it appears she doesn't want another shot on the stand during mom's trial. We're just days away from jury selection in the matriarch mastermind murder trial for Donna Adelson. Wendy Adelson's attorneys have filed a motion to quash her subpoena to testify and instead allow Wendy to place a statement on the record regarding the subpoena. She's testified in 3 trials related to the murder of her ex-husband, Dan Markell. But here's
3 trials. That's a lot. I mean, but I guess she should be happy that she didn't have to ever testify in her own trial yet.
why her previous testimony cannot be used against her.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be true? You may say.
Wendy Adelson has never been charged in her ex-husband Dan Markell's murder, but she's testified in 3 trials that ended with the convictions of her brother Charlie, his ex-girlfriend, and her ex-boyfriend. In exchange, Wendy received a specific form of immunity.
And are you here today pursuant to a subpoena?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and that subpoena confers use and derivative use immunity to you, so nothing you say can be used against you in the future.
That is correct.
That doesn't mean you have full immunity from prosecution, but nothing you say here and nothing derived from it could be used in that prosecution. Is that your understanding?
That is my understanding.
While those courtroom statements can't be used against her to develop new evidence, prosecutors do have her police interview. The only one other time Wendy spoke to authorities about her ex-husband's death.
What happened?
Well, before we get into everything, I have to establish where you were and who you were with and so forth. Okay?
Wendy was questioned by police hours after the father of her 2 sons was found shot and critically injured at his home. When asked about their divorce in 2013, she called the relationship contentious.
Danny didn't treat me very well, and I'm so scared that maybe someone did this. Not because they hate Danny, but because they thought this was good somehow.
Would you ever ask someone to do something like this?
Not in a million years.
Okay. Do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you?
No.
Moments later, she oddly mentioned her older brother Charlie, raising some red flags.
He makes a lot of jokes in bad taste. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman and it was cheaper to get you this TV. So instead
that's interesting. I think we're going to have to look at her interrogation because I am very curious why they haven't charged her. But yeah, it does sound like maybe she's trying to say that she thinks someone in her family did it for her.
Got you this TV.
Her comments led police to push for more answers about the Adelson family.
Somebody tried to kill my ex-husband. They should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Regardless of who it is.
I mean, it would be different if I thought it were my brother, but I don't think it was my family. I'm gonna call my parents. And they're very angry with him, right? Like, well, this isn't like it's their son.
Why would it be different if it was her family? But again, that statement makes me think that maybe she didn't know that. Like she's saying, like, I wouldn't be saying this if I thought my family was doing this because they're too good for that.
But he's the father of my kids, and this is a very, pardon my language, up situation.
Wendy's 4th time testifying is for her mother Donna's trial. Tallahassee attorney Stephen Webster, who represented Dan Markell before his death, testified at Charlie Adelson's trial and has closely followed the case.
I do believe the state is going to ultimately charge Wendy. I don't see any new evidence that has been developed based upon Wendy's testimonies, compelled testimony. So I'm really not concerned at all about any derivative use challenges should she ultimately be prosecuted.
All right, so let's talk about this with the man. He's the host of Surviving the Survivor. Joel Waldman is with us. You got an Adelson question. You talk to Joel. He'll set you straight. What's your take on her not wanting to testify at Donna's trial?
Man, where do I start? Let me start with that police interview. I mean, I've seen it so many times, but just watching it now with you, Ted. I mean, just imagine yourself going to a police interview, being accused of something, and you say, well, if someone in my family did it, I don't want them to be prosecuted to the full extent. I mean, who says that unless you know that your family is involved in this? You would never say that. I mean, she doesn't even seem.
I think it's the opposite. You wouldn't say something like that if you thought your family did it. So it was like kind of off. It was like she was trying to backpedal.
Bit, stunned or surprised by it. But we broke the news late Wednesday night that basically John Lauro, and I apologize, I'm coming off laryngitis, so I sound a little like Darth Vader here. But John Lauro, her attorney, who's a very, very good defense attorney, he came out and filed a motion basically saying, look, my client needs to quash the defense subpoena. And immediately, everyone is asking themselves, what is going on here? Is the Adelson family now literally disintegrating? Are they cannibalizing each other? It appears that Wendy is looking out for Wendy before her brother, before her mother, and kind of just leaving them in the dust. And to me, it's no real surprise. It's just a sad state of affairs.
Do you think, when you do listen to Wendy, and she's sort of just freewheeling it, she's thinking about, well, maybe to your point, she's connecting the dots that this could be my family. This is hours after the murder. Does it kind of help her in a weird way in terms of you can see her head spinning and the thoughts going, meaning she might not have had a heads up that, hey, we're gonna go kill.
The newscaster is thinking the same thing I'm thinking.
Danny on your behalf. Charlie's going to do it. Mom's engineering this. Is it possible that she didn't know? Because a lot of people it's tough to get your head around, your family killing your ex and you didn't know about it.
Yeah, well, I think anyone with a rational mind would probably think, hey, I would never imagine my family doing this. But there's so many things that are lining up. And it's my contention. We argued this on my show, Surviving the Survivor, last night. And most of the people who I've talked to believe that she will be the next in line. She will be indicted. She will be charged. She will be arrested. With that, we had Nima Rahmani on, a great attorney. And he said he doesn't think that's going to happen. Yeah, so there's been a lot of debate over this. But, she had this Best Buy Geek Squad there, which was sort of an alibi that morning. And she goes and throws her brother under the bus, saying that he's making this joke about a hitman would cost less than a TV repairman. So there are all these outstanding things. And then in that police interview that you were just watching, which I had honestly forgotten about till I watched it again the other day, she calls her mother at one point on her cell phone. And it's obviously all being recorded because it's in the police interview room. And it wasn't like, hey, Mom, this is what happened. And she's frantic. She's with Craig Isom, the detective. There's a lot of moments where she's hysterical. When she's on the phone with her mother, she's completely calm. And it's almost like letting her know that the job was done and that there's a problem because Dan isn't dead. Because, for those who do not know, he was shot twice in the head back on July 18, 2014, but he didn't succumb to his injuries till the next day. And the way she phrases it, if you watch that video, to me, it's appalling. It's like she's giving Donna the heads up that the job was done, but it wasn't completed. And I just think there's enough smoke around Wendy and enough circumstantial evidence that they're going to nail her. Nima doesn't agree with me, but other defense attorneys
do. You think Georgia Kappelman has strategically started with the hitman, then gets Matt Benoit, then Charlie, now Donna, and you think Wendy's the last to go? What about Harvey? Is he in the mix?
Well, all you have to do with Harvey is ask my mom, who's on the logo behind me. She's my co-host emerita. My mother's 86 years old. And from day one, she has said that Harvey's involved. This is a highly enmeshed family. Rob, the son, is estranged, so he's not really part of the mix. Everyone else just can't stop talking to each other. Harvey was sort of the silent assassin, if you will, but he was the money man, and they were paying off the middle woman. I mean, this story is so convoluted for those who don't know.
We're actually going to have to look at all the Adelsons, maybe do a live where we just deep dive into the Adelson family.
but it's got everything. It's got hitmen. It's got Ferrari driving ex-brother-in-laws. It has boob jobs. I mean, you name it. It's a Miami and North Florida story. And there's no doubt in my mind that Harvey knew what was going on. One quick thing too, Ted. There was another motion that was filed last night. Apparently, there's some jailhouse informants that are willing to squeal on Donna ahead of the trial. Now the defense filed a motion in limine saying, hey, don't let this woman, Dorena Bernhardt or Patricia Bird, and another one talk. We got to suppress the evidence and pursue the
Okay,
judgment.
well, that leads us right into the next one and the final one that I want to look at. It's the Donna Adelson wants to shut up jail daughter. So Donna must have a jail daughter. I know a little bit. I've talked to a few people that were in prison or jail. Prison. I think they're all in prison on here. And younger people that come in will look up to the older people and then they will call them mother or daughter. You kind of saw that in a little bit in the Orange is the New Black. And so apparently this jail daughter wants to talk.
Relationship between Donna Adelson and this inmate turned state's witness, or what we've been calling jailhouse snitches. So there's two of them in this case. Okay, this concerns the first one, which is Dorena Bernhardt. Okay, does everybody remember Dorena? There's also Patricia Bird, also turned state witness in this case. But there's another snitch. Okay, so this filing has to be clear, this filing concerns Dorena Bernhardt. And Donna Adelson referred to her as my jail daughter. So they were really close. That's what we were hearing reports, that they were really close in Leon County jail. And then Dorena Bernhardt turned state's witness. And it sounds like from this filing that Donna Adelson was giving her a script, and I really hope we see that script. Apparently, Dorena was taking notes about what to say when Dorena would testify for her. So we heard about these other snitches, Cassidy Conroy.
Oh, this cannot be good for Donna. She's got to get this silenced. I wonder if it works out. And Donna, what do you guys think? Donna needs to get the snitch silenced.
Roy, who was going to testify.
So, I mean, do people really believe snitches? I don't know.
Testify always about Katie McBanowa, but these are kind of frequent flyers in Leon County. But we've never heard of those other two ever again. They disappeared. Remember the testimony that Donna wanted to preserve of two inmates that gave details about Katie? So one was Cassidy Conroy. She says, wait until I come back. I'm going to take care of that family. So this is Cassidy Conroy quoting, apparently, though I think this is right from Donna, the brain of Donna Adelson. She said, wait until I come back. This is the way Donna Adelson testified. This was a hearing to try to somehow preserve Cassidy Conroy's testimony. She said, wait till I come back. I'm going to have to take care of that family. Wait until they see what they're going to get. And I'm going to get a reduced sentence. It sounds a little like very awkward. Again. And she said, had her plan work? Now I'm forgetting the name of this other snitch. Forgive me. She hasn't come into play recently. Cassidy Conroy. And I'd have to go back to my own. I'll find it. I'll return to it and I'll find the name of this woman's name for you. She said, had her plan work, she would not be where she is. She would be sitting pretty in Hawaii, drinking a fancy drink. Strange. Another fancy tea, fanciful fiction. You know, Donna has a fondness for this word fancy. So those were the two in the beginning. We've never heard from them since. They're now non-characters, but we're hearing of a new snitch who sounds like she's going to testify for the defense just by this defense filing. Is coming out of the woodwork. And she's a frequent flyer, sounds like, in Leon County. And she says that Drina Bernhardt set up Donna Adelson. I mean, that's the way the defense is making it sound. It's a very juicy document. Let's get into it. Without further ado, let's not delay. Does everybody
So
understand?
they're actually wanting this snitch to talk on their side. So interesting.
Follows. On November 15th, 2023, Mrs. Adelson, I love that they call her Mrs. Adelson, was indicted for first-degree murder. Sometimes for people who say, oh, no, they always call them Mrs. Adelson. Not so in filings. Sometimes they'll call them by their last name. Sometimes they'll call the Ms. Mrs. is correct, but Mrs. Adelson was indicted for first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and solicitation to commit first-degree murder. On April 7th, 2025, the state disclosed the existence of 2 jailhouse informants, including Drina Bernhardt. Although recording of her interviews with law enforcement were provided, the undersigned was unable to depose Ms. Bernhardt until August 11th, 2025. Really, so the trial starts August 19th.
Wow.
And August 11th
They just did it.
was not long ago, because Bernhardt had violated her probation and pretrial release conditions and could not be located. This is curious.
Okay, so let's go forward.
I know you told me. Adafa? Nine? I don't know. Tallahassee, Florida. This was in 2018 in July. The Tallahassee Police Department is seeking information about the location of Drina Bernhardt, a 38-year-old.
This must be her that they're looking for. So what do you guys think about all of this? Are you interested in this case? I'm pretty excited. I can't wait to really dig into it and learn more about it. Tomorrow, they are going into jury selection. I don't know if it's being televised or not, but there's never anything good really that happens on jury selection. We are going to be working with the ladies over on Kurt Cobain, Who Killed Kurt Cobain official tomorrow. We're going to be doing a live talking about the ballistics. They hired their own ballistic tester, and they have a lot to say about the pew-pew that was used and how impossible it was. Yeah, so that's what we're doing tomorrow. We'll be, in addition, popping on really quick to talk about this case. And so we've got some things up over on the Power Network. We're working on our Café Bazaar blog, and it bothers me to no end that Gypsy Rose Blanchard has all of these fake AI generated news stories out there on the interwebs. And so I've decided to do real stories on my own blog on Café Bazaar on Gypsy Rose Blanchard, so that in the hopes that the real narrative, not this fake story, because I'm at the point now where I don't even believe that Dee Dee had Munchausen syndrome by proxy. This was completely made up. Gypsy Rose was completely on the ruse. Yes, Dee Dee was an abusive mother by the fact that she was a scammer herself and she taught Gypsy Rose to scam, but she wasn't making Gypsy Rose sick. Gypsy Rose was sick, and she was just trying to find out what was wrong with her daughter, and in the process created a scam around that. So I would really appreciate your help talking about the Café Bazaar. And I did do a community tab post over on the Power Network. I put it up just before we went live. If you could read it and share it. And yeah, and even comment here on the blog down here so that we can, have the AI and the Google and all of that find the true story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, because I'm over it. I'm over the Gypsy Rose Blanchard story. I'm over all the fighting and the this and that. The true story is that this psychotic woman unalived her mother, used an autistic man, and she's out free. So that's the true story, and she's dangerous in my opinion. So anyway, so there are other things that we have on the Cafe Bazaar. We just posted Lorraine Warren. We've done the Donna Adelson. I popped up there. And we've done the Amy Bradley. We've been working on Amy Bradley quite a bit lately. There's some Watts content over there. So any story that I'm working on, I'm putting it over here. And yeah, so please go over if you like to read your true crime content and enjoy. Okay, guys, that's all I have for today. I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Wild Deodorant. Thank you to those that have decided to try it out and support our channel through that sponsorship. It means a lot to me, and it's really, really appreciated. If you use our code ParaWomen, you get a 20% off your first purchase. And I will put the links to everything in the YouTube show notes. Alrighty, I'm going to head out, you guys. If nobody's told you this today, and even if they have, I'm still going to tell you guys this. I love you guys so, so much. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys. And if you're not subscribed, why are you not subscribed? I would really, really, really love to have you as a power subscriber. If you really like my content, be sure to become a Dragonfly, and that's our membership, and it's $2.99 a month. I release all my videos early. We have special emojis over in the chat room. I kind of share things ahead of time with my Dragonflies, and I go live sometimes just for the Dragonflies. It's a way that I can support you guys and give you more content, and it's a way for you to support our channel. It's $2.99 a month, and I would love to have you. And if
I miss my cue, but baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep.
Be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Helps me go out into the algorithm party out there. Bring more people back to the party. It's just a free way to help me.
Baby, I'm dancing with you tonight, and it feels fine. Feels fine. Baby, I'm dancing with you tonight. Here in the blue, I'm dancing and falling out, hoping for some time with you.